Well, welcome to the third in our series of About Small Business. This episode, I'm going to be chatting to Paul Reay Henderson of Body Blitz Gym. Okay, now, Paul, clearly looking at you, you live the lifestyle of a gym owner. Can you tell me a little bit about where all that began, when you first became interested in fitness, that kind of thing?
To be honest, Barry, during school, my biggest hate was once I turned about 12, 13, was being skinny. I hated it, and people don't realise it, but during school, I used to wear like 2 pair of pants to make my legs look bigger. I used to wear like 2 t-shirts under my jumpers to make us look a little bit bigger, I used to do like 1,000 press-ups every single day in the house. 1,000 press-ups every day. 2 lots of 500 morning and night before bed. And, and that's when it took a hold of us. So like 13 years old, and it was like religious wherever I was. It was 500 press-ups on a morning, 500 press-ups on a night.
Wow.
It was.
So how did you get? I mean, how far did you take that exercise in terms of? I mean, clearly now I think we could reasonably describe you as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
From a skinny 13-year-old to where you are now, what was the process for that?
Big process. I think obviously time. I'm 37 now, so it takes a long time. But obviously my background was football. I played like high level football, and that sort of kept us in shape. So it was sort of like that suppressed me needs to be in shape type of thing. But with the bodybuilding side of things, once I'd sort of stopped the football side, I was really into the gym. I used to go to the gym obviously when I was at Sunderland. That's what got us introduced to the gym side of things. So we used to go in the gym, and that gave us the love for just lifting weights. And I realised then, that I had some sort of like addiction to going in the gym and chucking some steel around,
So how long were you spending in the gym then?
Well, this was the thing, mate. It was when I first started, obviously due to the lack of knowledge back then, and all that, we didn't have YouTubes and stuff. There was nothing back then, like there wasn't a lot of online advice for any of that. So I used to go in the gym, and I used to be in there about 3 or 4 hours, just going round and round the machines, So I did myself no favours, but I did sort of get a little bthere shape out of it.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, I mean, back then, were you taking much notice of the nutrition side of things as well?
No, there wasn't, mate. See, but there was one guy around here locally who used to bodybuild, and like, as a little local man, he was like sort of like, in my eyes, he was a little bit like famous. We used to see him and think, oh, he looks great. I used to love the size of him and stuff, and I used to look at him and think that I need to look big. I want to be big, And the way he carried himself, just looked confident, and like it was like he fascinated us when I used to watch him, So nutrition-wise, it wasn't, there was nothing, there was no real guide for that until like I started asking, which I wish I did earlier, but then, back then it was like me grand, bless her, who I lived with, she used to go to Asda every day. I used to send her to buy us a full cooked chicken and 5 chicken and rice pots from Asda every day, So I used to chuck the food in from quite a young age to try and get big,
Right. You mentioned big quite a few times. So why is big important? Why is it when we all go to the gym, we're all looking for this big?
Do you know, like I said, it probably goes back to the school days, because I was really skinny as a boy, I was like, my little boy's the same. He was, he's like a little bookie pen. There's nothing on him, and he's obsessed with abs, so he likes it because he's ripped, for a little 8-year-old. Whereas for me, it wasn't about that, Barry. I was like, I used to look at the other areas. I used to look at my legs, hated them. Look at my arms, hated them. And so for me, it probably goes back to being younger. And like, it was always, because I always looked at a man who was bigger and how well he carried himself, It was like confidence. It was the confidence.
Confidence,
Yeah. That was what was my focus,
No, it's fine. I mean, clearly you do come across as very confident now. So obviously something's worked.
Yes.
So in terms of where we are now, we're actually in Body Blitz Gym. How did you establish this gym here at Burnopfield, and what do you think sets this apart from other gyms from the competition?
So obviously going back to the training days, Body Blitz started on a field, with my sister and a friend, So it started on a field, a football field, late summer, so it was just starting to get the weather was starting to get a little bit risky, But we set it away, and on a field, like I say, it was more military style training, not from a military background, but obviously I knew boot camp style training. And that's what, to be fair, we brought boot camp to the northeast, and but I knew then. I thought, because I enjoyed it anyway, it was never like, I didn't treat it as a job. It wasn't business. It was no such thing. So, we when I seen the interest there, it was sort of, that's when I started thinking, look, this could be something, you know. So I had a look at indoor facilities made through the weather, because I knew that, to be honest, it wasn't for the money, it was more for the girls to keep them training, because they were doing so well. And I felt responsible for their results, you know. So it was like, right, look, we're approached Dipping Community Centre, like my local village. They had available, well, to be fair, every community centre at the time needed the sort of clientele. So I was ideal for those people. We then went into, Quaking Houses. We had about 16, 17 locations by the end. Wow. Before we went at the gym, you know. So we were branched out all over, as far as Washington, right up to Corbridge. We were all over, you know, in terms of community centres. I had instructors, you know, driving up there and stuff. Then I was training. This was a gym before I took it on as a gym. I would like to say it was a failing gym. It was coming to the end of its days, I think. Yeah. You know, my landlord, who still runs the gym, you know, not from a gym background, had a great business, but this is when the gym, sort of the evolution of it all changed, because, you know, we had, this Instagram stuff coming in. Social media took the old school gym away from old school gyms. So I came in with a fresh mind, fresh energy, fresh sort of idea. And all I did was, Barry, I simply, because we were so busy in terms of where we were in locations, I wanted to fix myself down in a location that I could just be here, because I was everywhere, mate, driving everywhere, trying to, you know, keep everyone happy, and it was just getting a stretch. So I came here and I said to him one day, I said, look, have you got a room to rent? So it was upstairs where the treadmills used to be, in my current boot camp room. He says, I've got a room there, but it was, you know, it was fully kitted out. And I was thinking, right, okay. He says, look, pop back tomorrow and we'll have a chat. So when I came back the next day, it was empty. And I hadn't even agreed to it yet. I thought, I haven't even discussed rent or anything yet. So he was like, no, you know, that's what type of guy he is. You know, that's what I like him for. He gets stuff done, you know. And so it was empty. And I was like, look, I haven't committed yet. So, like, you know, I felt a bit, it was the push I needed, Barry, because I would have sat on the fence a little bit, I think, at that time. Yeah. Because, you know, I thought it's obviously going to be more money than what I'm paying. I
was going to say, was that, because, I mean, if you're starting on field, was that your first major financial risk?
Yes, because obviously, Barry, bear in mind, you know, we went from community centres, they were only charging £10 an hour at the time. Yeah. You know, we had 40, 50 girls turn up, you know, paying like £3 or £4 at the time, I think it was. So it was more than, you know, profit in that by the end, you know, that it was, but then it was like, you see, it was never in my hands. Like, my business sort of belonged to them, because if they closed the centre, my business just wasn't available, you know. So that was, you know, other things were in thought. But yeah, when we got here and the room was empty, that little bit of push I needed, you know, it was treble my outgoings, right, rent-wise, but, which was scary. But I thought, look, you know, I've got to do this. And that was what gave us the push to just take it by the horns. You know?
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, operating a gym, obviously there's quite a few unique challenges. Can you share perhaps a pivotal moment that you faced in the early days, and how you sort of navigated from that? Maybe sort of perhaps, as you've just mentioned, about that decision to, right, I'm going to invest in myself.
Yeah. I think, you know, if it was advice I was giving myself, again, back then, would be, you know, like the timing and everything as well, because I don't believe sometimes it's not luck, but I think sometimes you get a little bit of tailwind. And, you know, at that time, Barry, it was like everything just fit into place for me to expand and move on and obviously transition into this bigger setup, you know. You know, challenging times were the fact that, like you say, these centres that I sort of signed myself to, it was all down to them. So, you know, for instance, you know, we had a bingo night next door to us. So in the community centre, there was 2 rooms. Yeah. So bear in mind, my classes, you know, with high energy and high, like, you know, volume of music, pumped right up for the members to be feeling the energy and the atmosphere. The little old dears next door didn't like it, because obviously, you know, they were calling out the bingo numbers, and they couldn't hear, because bless them, some of them couldn't hear very well, so they couldn't. So we used to get and the fact that obviously the car park was full of my members, and they had to walk a little journey to the centre. So
that's never going to go down well.
It was no. So you know, they were here before us, and bless them. I used to try and they soften the blow with them, but they used to just be having none of it. You know, when I look back, it's
I'm on the committees for my local community centre, and it doesn't take too much to imagine.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I bless them.
Class. But so obviously an entrepreneur within the fitness industry. I mean, I've seen you. I mean, I think anyone that knows you will have seen a lot of the stuff that you post on Facebook. You do always seem tremendously motivated. how do you stay motivated because I mean, basically part of your job, I think, as you've already mentioned, is kind of to inspire other people. How do you keep that level of motivation?
It's a funny word, motivation, because people think you just get it one day, like you just put it in your pocket and that's it, you've got it forever. But it's not, mate. There is days, I have to be motivated, because obviously I've got to give off this energy that sometimes isn't there, But I find the key to motivation for anyone, right, is exercise. I think that's what's underrated, because I know there's medication out there and stuff, Barry, but like you say yourself, you like exercise. It's me staying in shape, is like the first block to giving off motivation for everyone else, which carries the job. That's what I feel like. So exercise, that's what does it for me. That's what gives us the goal.
In your opinion, I mean, appreciating that you may be slightly biased in this, but do you think that is the same for everyone? Do you, in your heart of hearts, do you believe that everyone, no matter who they are, would get a positive mental boost from exercise?
Yes, I think 100% of my members and clients I've had thousands and thousands of clients over the years, and every single person has never regretted a workout. Do you know what I mean? You never regret a workout, good or bad. You always feel better for a little bit of exercise, And it's funny because obviously being in this industry, I get to meet loads of people and deal with loads of people, and I always take away from everyone something, and I always look at, like, obviously people's mental side of things, and it's how good they feel is sort of underrated for even someone like me sometimes. To how much impact I've had on their lives is sometimes so big I forget how big it is to them.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Why, in your opinion, does the government, the National Health Service, not start to point people towards gyms, exercise centres as a first port of call, rather than talking about doling out medication? Because, I mean, just from what you're saying, I think from my own personal experience, if ever I've felt down, I've gone to my gym. Yes. Obviously, it's not as obvious I go to the gym as it is with you, but I promise you I do.
Yes.
I would agree with what you've said. I'm not... Growing up, I was never a naturally sporty person.
Yes.
It's not who I am. Sort of the more sort of creative, nerdy, kind of, like you said, with the gear and stuff like that. Yes. That's more who I am. And I'm proud. That I'm proud of that. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm jealous of.
But I do enjoy exercise. I do love the gym, and the main reason for that, I think, is because of that sort of, as well as looking better than you would. Obviously, it's all relative.
Yes.
But that positive mental boost. Why, in your opinion, are we not, as a society, pushing that rather than drugs?
Honestly, Barry, I'm not this these people that would go and march in London High Street and stuff and protest, but I think there's too much money in it, mate. In pharmacy, there's too much money in drugs, for them. I generally think there's too much money involved, where a lot of these governors are, investors or whatever, part owners or whatever it is, mate, but it's like the first protocol in my eyes will be, look, let's try a little bit of exercise, because I've got members in here. I've got a guy in, Danny, and I've got loads of members in here. That's over the age of 65, 70. Danny's, I'd be lying if I told you his age, but I'm sure he's kicking on 75, 76, maybe even 80 years old. And you know what, mate? It's seeing someone come in, right, who, you see the frail and, other than what he used to be, but for his age, strong, and it's like strength with exercise and what it brings, even mentally. It's not about being big. I'm not, one thing I'm not is an advert for people to be like, look, get huge, and because I've got loads of young guys in here which I advise, but depending on your goal, this isn't the way to train. This is what you need to do. It's just like for the soul strength as a person, like inside and outside. You know what I mean? So it's that's why I think it should be pushed more. But again, I think it's only not because the government whoever makes a lot of money out of the pharmaceutical side.
Which I think, given the situation we're in at the minute financially, that it just seems to me it would make far more sense if we started giving out gym memberships
absolutely first,
and then maybe sort of
this is
medication second.
Alongside, if it's money that they need to survive, obviously, but make them go and exercise. Which I know it's hard to imply, but it's like, you know, it's the first thing that you would start doing instead of giving people,
Yeah.
Drugs and then loads of money to go and top that up.
Yeah. Sadly, it's not us that makes the decisions, though, mate.
Nope.
But if we do, then I'll see what the
Get
parish
me on the
council
panel.
say.
Get me on the panel, mate.
One thing I did want to ask, and you did kind of mention this to me just before we started recording, in terms of the demands of running any business, but with a gym, you're open quite. What are the hours that you're open here?
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
An hour earlier than everyone else.
So
with staff.
So 5 a.m. and then what time are you kind of going home?
9 p.m. Shut at 9. Shut the doors at 9. Normally 10 past. To be fair, we'll get away about 20 past 9.
So let's say, well, we're kind of flipping the 9 to 5 when it says we'll go sort of from 5 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, and then I'm gonna guess that maybe even then you perhaps don't necessarily always shut off.
No, now I do, Barry, but I didn't used to. Mate, do you know what? This is the thing about business as well. You can't. Like until you are, I would say, mature enough to manage your own mind, which is a massive thing. It's like mind management is massive, huge. And people obviously struggle with that, early days of business, which I think you have to realise. But, when them hours are brutal, Like my alarm goes off 4 o'clock every morning. It's like the only time people set that alarm is when you go to the airport. And that's when you don't mind getting up early,
No.
But, it is, mate. I'm used to it now. Your body clock gets used to it, your mind gets used to it. But some days I get in the house and I can't have a conversation with anybody, I stroke the dogs for an hour and we just sit and watch. Sometimes nothing on the telly. There's nothing on, and I'm sat there watching it. And it is, mate. They're the times that make you sort of like you go and crash out, and you wait till the next day, and it's another day, And then it starts again, mate. You know what I mean? But it is. This is the thing. That's why a lot of people aren't cut out for certain businesses. The good side of the business that you see in the gym is loads of members come to your gym, and you make loads of money, and that's it. But you set your alarm at 4 a.m. and you get up, and sometimes you work because your staff are off till 9 p.m. and you lock up and but no one sees that,
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you're a father as well.
Yes.
You do priority. I know what your kids mean to you.
Yes.
They mean the absolute world to you. I know, obviously, we know each other through
yes, we do.
the football team
yes, we do.
that you coach. So
Yes.
not only are you finishing work a little bit early, a couple of nights a week to look after not just your daughter's football team, but you're helping the likes of me, who's useless at football. I can't help my daughters on that. So you're giving up your time to do that as well.
Yes.
And I mean, someone that's prepared to, that's telling me an awful lot about them as a dad. Yeah. How do you manage to balance everything that you're putting into your business with also finding time? Because I mean, I've seen you with your kids, and they all absolutely they seem to adore you. I'm sure behind closed doors, like mine, we can get a bit of grief and a bit of bit of back chat. They're at that sort of age. But how do you manage to like sort of balance that relationship from your personal life to the relationship with the business that is demanding on your time and you?
I think everyone learns the hard way, Barry, first, because your business, you feel, becomes your life, and the life you live is because your business. So it's a circle. And I think with my kids now, like even for a long time, my kids come first. They always will in any situation. But there's times, Barry, where you've got to, and it's that balance, which no one ever gets right. But I just make sure that when I'm with my kids, the phone's off. We try and have dad and kid time. And like I say, I was always drummed into me. It was memories to be made. And with my kids, Barry, it's deep to the point where like I make that clear that like this is the time, and obviously we're not guaranteed a lot of it. So, from the children's side, I always make sure that's dedicated and made for now. But going back to the football team thing that I run, I only got it because my daughter was playing in the beginning. And I know obviously through my sort of like addiction, I guess, through wanting to win, I'm like highly motivated to always do the best I can at what I do. And that was going through from being young, like I say, with the press-ups in the bedroom. Yeah. My daughter said one day, I want to play football. And I says, right, okay, let's, you want to play football? Let's go and play football. So we signed, we went down to Beamish, football club, and we, a couple of me, Richie, a lad that I knew through previous football, was one of the coaches, and then Davey, another coach, sort of said, look, do you want to join forces, all three of us, and let's work on this team. And obviously then, mate, once I was in, I knew after 2 sessions in, I thought, look, I'm hooked now with this team, and now they're I get the same buzz out of watching them play now as what I did. I could never fill that void. So obviously go back to the football side of things, that playing football was like a big part of us. And, when it gets took away or when you stop, it's a massive thing to feel because, you fix the banter with the lads, the whole days out, all that type of stuff is gone, So that was me fix, travelling down to, the hub at the time, Washington Hub, and watching them play, 8 years old, running about, just chasing the ball, all of them. And then actually structuring that to a team and moulding it now to like one of the best teams in the Northeast now, undefeated. And, going in now, obviously under 13 level. So a lot of years we've committed to them. But like, I couldn't not do it, even if my daughter didn't play now, like my little team, I would never be able to drop them now, until the days are done, you know what I mean? So I could never go back now.
Do you find that helps with your sort of, in terms of your work-life balance?
Absolutely.
That is obviously very much part of your personal.
Do you notice that when I'm there? Because there's only a few things in my life that I do, right, that makes a switch off, and I had to find them things, and I had to dig quite deep. But with that there, obviously, Monday nights we train. Obviously, the phone's in the car. It's me and them, and we have an hour, and I play with them. I'm joining in. I'm getting the boots on, and they hate it because I get a bit competitive still. But I
remember your penalty shootout where you were in the net and you were kind of like bigger than the net.
There
are a few complaints.
They hate it when they come in there. They hate it. But no, and it's great, man, because the banter from them, because they get older and they start getting funny. And the sort of, it is now, a lot of the mothers always say they love you to bits, Paul, and this and that. And as I do, I love them all. They're like a proper little thinkers now, and hearing them all with the different problems and helping them and seeing them grow. And obviously, I train them here on a Wednesday. I do it all. I couldn't bring them in here on a Wednesday. It's 5 o'clock now, and we go through a gym session, and it's all stuff they need to work on. It helps them all, strength and conditioning, and it's just like that. More time you get with them, the more you commit with them, and it's like a relationship you build with a kid.
Yeah,
obviously, that's from another family, but you learn about them and you get to know them, and it's like it's nice because you can, especially coaching them now on Saturdays. You know as well as I know, mate, with our daughters.
Yeah.
It's like there's a way to approach some situations, but when you know that person, you know how to approach that situation.
Yeah.
Because you can sort of send them west, you know what I mean? Whereas, because I know them all so well, I can sort of engage with them the right way instead of like, send them off the handle with a comment I might make or whatever, But yeah, going back to the point, mate, it's that side of it with the kids and stuff is a massive part that you need to keep in your life, apart from your business.
Just to remind you what the life's actually about.
Why you do it all.
Exactly.
Why, that all this is for me kids. I always said, with the business, I do all this for them. So make sure when you're with them, it's about them. Because you see, I don't want to be that dad, mate. And I've had clients, loads of gym members, and I'm like, it is, you work all the time. You've got to do this. And I think, nah. And I get it, Barry, because you do, it's like that overtime. Everyone could do that extra bit. Everyone. You can't make enough money.
No, I think that's.
You know what I mean, Barry? Because you spend it. You know what I mean? There's bigger car, bigger house, or whatever. The more holidays, or you'll have more nights out, or meals, or your shopping bills more expensive. Where that's always going to be the case. So you'll always have to work overtime, to keep it sustainable.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, actually, because I have sort of imagined, like, even if you had the money of Bill Gates or anyone like that, your demands on your lifestyle are increasing. The stuff that you want to invest in your business is never going to be, and I think it's an interesting thing that I'm starting to realise now is like sort of, the one thing that a lot of people will never have is enough.
No.
Yeah, so we chatted about this in other respects as well, but the fitness industry, I think like most industries at the minute, is pretty dynamic, and there's lots of stuff going on now with the online. How are you sort of taking advantage of that? How are you using that? How are you ensuring that Body Blitz kind of stays relevant in that respect?
Yeah. Well, Barry, this is the way the world is. It's one thing I learned through, obviously, previous people I've met in my life is that you've got to stay up to date with the way life is,
Yeah.
In business as well. So, like, I guess, online, to be fair, I agree with it. I didn't used to, for me, I was a very in-person PT. I wanted to, to be in that moment with that client, really make sure that they're getting out of, the session that they needed to. And I sort of didn't, I thought, how can you be told what to do and then you have to take your body to the gym and do that? in effect how they want you to do that, do you know? And because I knew what it took to get in shape, I thought, I know, but would a client do that? And I couldn't imagine many people would take it to the level that you wanted to really make a difference, you know, on your shape, which is what you tell them you're going to do. You're going to tell them you're going to get them in shape, and really, you know, that's what made us question the online stuff in the beginning. However, it's a lot easier. You know, you do it from your phone in a different country. Hence the reason everyone's living in Dubai now, mate.
Yep.
You know, you've got a lot of online clients living in Dubai, and, you know, hats off to them. It's a life. I've been out there. It's great. You know, I've got friends who live out there. They're killing it, and they're living the life that they want to live. You know, like I say, the British weather's it's never the best. You know what I mean? It's out there. You're guaranteed sun here every single day, and it's the new sort of place to be in terms of, you know, fitness industry and the money that. Well, to be fair, in any business that they do out there, they chuck money at it. You know.
Yeah.
So online, you know, again, because I wouldn't say I was ignorant. I was just a little bit. My beliefs in it were for the right reasons, because I wanted that one-to-one sort of touch, you know.
Feels more personal if you actually see someone. That's
it. I was wanting to give them a better service. Again, though, business-wise, this is where I had to, again, adapt and transition into a new way. You know, it's a huge thing now, the marketing side of things, and going into online stuff. But it was, again, a great sort of move, because, again, I can look after more clients. I've got a load of online clients now that's doing tremendous, you know. We do live check-in chats. We'll have, you know, messages every single day, you know, to check in with food diaries, and when they slip up, when they, you know, check-in photos to monitor progress, you know, things we need to adapt, things we might need to change here and there. So I'm good. I didn't get into it earlier, but I'm in. It's going well, you know.
How long have you been doing it now?
I would say the online side of things only since last properly. Again, I had a few online clients, but it wasn't sort of official. It was sort of like, would you help us out? And I was helping them anyway, Barry's. But when we launched the Trained by Paul Reay online program, it was September. Yeah, I believe it was. Right. September time. So it wasn't long. You know, and the online clients that we've got now, you know, a few clients online that are smashing it, and it's made us sort of reevaluate where I want to spend more of my energy and time, mate, because I can look after more people online than I can in person. Gone are the days where I can stand in front of someone for 15 hours and PT them. You know, again, going back to the splitting me time with things that I enjoy, my kids, and you know, looking after the football team and having a bit of a life outside of gym. It doesn't allow us to work them type of hours, mate, effectively, and have an efficient life outside of it with great energy. It just doesn't happen. So the online stuff's definitely a good move.
Right, spot on. So your clients, presumably, from what you're saying, they're all happy, they're getting the results.
Yeah, I think, again, because I'm so obsessed with sort of giving them that bit extra, I try and message them every day, you know, which I always tell the clients. I'll always say, look, Wednesdays and Sundays are check-ins. Typically, with any other coach, you'll get a Sunday check-in. You get one check-in a week, you know, you hear what you've got to do, and then that's it. You get left to your own devices, you know, which for me, I thought, you know, I've had coaches myself, you know, and I've learned a lot from them. One of the T-shirts on the wall behind us, mate, Anth Bales, he's a big, massive help in my sort of even business career, I guess, because when I trained with Anth, he owned a little gym over in Hortley Spring called Max Muscle Gym, and I trained. He actually PT'd us 1-to-1, and he was my coach for my first competition, first and second competition. So, speaking to him, you know, and he was very motivated as a man and a businessman. He's now obviously a shareholder in Ultraflex Gyms, so they're a massive outfit.
Right.
And he's went on to smash it, you know, mate. And I'm really like proud of what he's done. But as a man, we both had kids the same age, and sort of like we're on the same page during the process of even when we're training. You know, we used to have a brief bit of crap before we trained, but I liked him because he was very like, right, look, we shut that off now. We're in training mode, and his old saying is, like I say, the 100% or nothing's his sort of slogan, you know, and that's his quote he carries everywhere with him, and it was that, like, you were in the gym and that was it. You were in the gym, you don't talk about nothing else, and then you get your stuff done, and then you can have the chat afterwards, you know. So I took a lot from that man there, you know, as a coach, and I wasn't a mentor. He wasn't like a mentor, but I took things from him that he probably never realised that he gave us, you know, which I'm grateful for, you know.
Let's hope he sees this and realises.
Yeah, I think he always shouts, he always reaches out, you know, he always gives us a nudge here and there. And we you know, had a bit of crack in the lockdown, to be fair, because he opened his gym and then we got locked down. So another story, you know, which is a tough time for a lot of businesses.
Absolutely, yeah. It's well, it certainly affected mine. I mean, shut me down altogether.
Yeah.
Very little. And again, you know, like yourself, started to do things online. I thought, is a show going to work online? Who wants to like sit and look at Facebook? And but it's surprising, isn't it? And I suppose in some ways you've got to take those positives from it.
Yeah.
So speaking of positives, I mean, you've got sort of quite you've got your gym that's going well. You've got your online that's going really well. What would you say is from the highs of your career from those days of on the football field, to where you are now? What would you say was a career highlight or a business highlight for you?
See, for me, Barry, it's not so much making money. It's weird because like people always say like you're nuts because you do things that cost you money. You don't sometimes do things that actually do make you money, and that's business. Business is making money, but I can't get my head around it, Barry. I don't agree that the like what business is, you know. But for me, mate, it's like seeing people do really well. Me seeing other people do well is more achievement for me than like the money that you would get from doing a business move for money. If you get us, you know what I mean? So like
it's more about a passion.
Like a business high for me is like buying 4 new bits of kit for my chest room. You know, that's a high because like I use it and I see other members using it. So for me, believe it or not, me business highs are when I'm spending money on my business. That's a high for me. Strange as it sounds.
Yeah.
That's what I get off.
Because that's then in turn helping other people.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. No, I mean, to flip that then, what about the lows? Because I mean, again, people are often interested to know about like, you know, it's really successful, doing really well. They like to see the cars, they like to see the fancy clothes and things like that. We both know that those lows very much exist. I mean, you mentioned lockdown, which I mean, certainly for me that was a massive low, really, really depressing. Having to essentially be kind of a kept man throughout that period.
Yes, it's
which I mean, I don't know. I have often wondered I have felt the same way if it had been a woman. I don't know, but you know, I was doing my bit looking after the kids and stuff like that. But I didn't find that easy in any way, shape, or form. What would you say was a kind of a career low for you?
The lockdown was a low. It was a test, right? But you know, like yourself, mate, we all get chucked. You know, the way I always, you know, when I have had these discussions with people, every day we're served with a plate of tasks. Let's call them tasks, not call them problems. The tasks. Everything's a task, and you know, if you get added, if stuff gets added to that plate, then it's a bigger task. The lockdown was a massive blow. You know, it was tough. It was very, very tough on any business. You know, not just gyms and you know. I watched a lot of people lose the business, and that there, Barry's like. For me, I'm seeing them have to change the ways they lived.
Yeah,
you know, the amount of holidays they would have, and you know, like a lot happened in that time where people actually were massively affected, and I seen it firsthand because when they came back to the gym, from someone that you knew before that to when I met them after that, they were different mentalities, different. You know, I mean, I don't want to say her name, but I lost a member of staff through you know, she went through a massive hard time with a family bereavement, and you know, she loved this, but you know, then the lockdown came and she wasn't good with her own time and her own company, you know, and I watched, which was heartbreaking to see her sort of struggle, you know, and like obviously when everyone got let out of jail again, it was like they got let out of jail again, you know, like they were like, what do we do? How do we live? And everyone was chucking the jobs in, and then going back to your point, mate, my biggest challenge in business is staff, because you know, mate, you know, we discussed this before about if you are your business, it's great, right? Because you're in control. You can't you don't let yourself down. But to have a business, have you got a business if you're not the business? And then I don't think, you know, mate, you haven't, because if you can't do the business, then it's gone, you know. Where obviously I have to have business people work for us. I have to have obviously staff, and that's always been my biggest problem, mate. You know, I've had PTs, I've had loads of PTs over the years, Barry, and apprentices. I've had hundreds. We're talking hundreds, you know, and that's my biggest challenge because you're not in control of their alarm that they set on a morning.
No.
You're not in control, Barry, whether they, you know, majority of the time lie, which we've all done. But, you know, they're good. I think one of my strengths as a I don't know, let's say a gym manager, for instance, is the fact that I can get on the same page as them because I was them once, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we've lied about, you know, we've been out on the beers and we've
certainly
slept,
not. Certainly not.
you know, we've slept, you know, sorry, I'm locked in the house or whatever. But it's one of them I can laugh about it, but you know, I'll be lying if I said there were stressful times where I've thought, do I still want to do this anymore? You know, there's been a lot of times, Barry, where, you know, I've thought, right, I've got to have a look at this because can I do this anymore, you know? And obviously I still do, but you have to give yourself them cool off days, mate, to you know,
I was going to say, when you've got to that point thinking, I've had enough, I don't want to do this anymore, it's not what it set out to be, what I set out to be with it. Any of those points, assuming there's been more than one, what's flipped the switch and made you carry on?
My kids, mate, because do you know when like I say, they were talking about challenges, people call them problems, people call them whatever they call them, but I just look at it, I think it was as a task or a challenge or a problem. I always just think, mate, if it's a challenge between me and whatever situation I'm in, I can't lose because I always think of them, you know. And I always, it's a bit like the way I train, Barry, is the same. It's some people, it probably is weird to be fair. Maybe I'm weird. Is I always think of the kids being failed, and like strangely, like in a training session, it's the same. I always think of weird things like, you know, like a situation with kids, you know. I'm like, right, that gets the aggression out of us to like smash me training and stuff. But in business, I just think, right, if you take all this away, right, what have you got? I've got who I am. I'll always have that, and the kids will always have him. But the life they deserve from what I want to give them, you know, from my choice, involves doing well in business, and that's why I can't fail. Nobody can make us fail because of that reason. Make the kids, you know.
Right. Would you anticipate one day maybe sort of one or two or more of them might follow you into the business, and it's
I've always said I would love them to, you know, do something about it like that because I mean they all train. I've got videos of all of them train. Lily, my littlest one, she's 5. She was in the gym a couple of weeks ago and she's doing lunges with her dad, and we trained legs together, and it's fun for them, Barry, because it's something that they see their dad doing. Like my little boy Jack, he follows us on TikTok, right? He's got his own account through my name, to be fair, and he just watches bits of Pete, like, you know, Jake Paul and all these like YouTubers.
Yeah.
And he loves it, you know. He follows Ronaldo and like he wants to be Ronaldo. And he always, you know, follows me videos I do on TikTok, and he always comments, "Dad, awesome," and stuff, you know. And it's like, for me, mate, it just makes you up, you know. And for them to be proud of you in that way, you know, and this is what this brings, you know. So even my daughter, I know she thinks she's cool, too cool for dad and all that stuff. She's 12, you know, she knows everything. But I still know she looks, and she's proud. I can see pride in her face when she mentions something, or, you know, I can read her face and see that she's proud of her, you know. And that's why, you know, she's into the gym. She loves it. I never force any of them to do it. They do it, and I let them see how they feel it, but, you know, they even feel it. And you know, my little boy always says, "Oh, you feel good, Dad, when you've been in the gym, don't you?" And you know, and Georgie, my oldest, she always says, you know, we had a one of the situations was, right, we fell, to cut it short, was it was a Sunday, and I said, "Look, I'm going to get my trainers, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go and train." And she says, "Oh, I'm not coming." I says, "Oh, you don't have to come, I was just telling you I'm going to the gym." And she says, I said, "But you would feel better if you did." That's all I said, Barry. I didn't say anything more. And I was down here training, and I got a message halfway through, "Dad, I'm going to go for a run," right? And I says, "Great, go and smash your run." Yeah. And I got back, she got back, and we got showered and stuff. We had tea, and she says, "I'm pleased I went for a run there, Dad. I feel much better." And I just said, "Look, that's why we do these things, George. That's why I go. I didn't want to go. I don't want to go to the gym. I couldn't be bothered, to be honest."
Yeah.
I went to the gym, Barry, because I felt a little bit bogged down, a bit stressed, a bit cabin fever, you know. And I thought, look, here it is. I'm going to get down there, I'm going to have a good sweat on, and that's what's going to make us feel better tonight, you know.
Brilliant. Yeah. So moving forward then, obviously, we've got lots going on. The build-up from football fields to really, really well-equipped gym, quite a sizable gym as well. What's the future for Body Blitz?
Right, that's a question. I would never rule out, expanding. I've had a couple of gyms, Barry, in the past, and the idea in the beginning was to branch out and sort of take over. That was me. That goes back to the old side, the competitive side of us. But mate, weeks, years change, and thoughts change. And for me now, mate, I just think I don't want to bite off too much ever again. I want to enjoy this process. I'm 37 and I want to enjoy, the stronger years of my life and with the right sort of mentality with kids and let them see a little bit of the world.
Yeah.
And that's the direction I want to take. Is I'll roll with any opportunity that comes along. I'm pretty good at making decisions in business, I like to think, and I'll take opportunities as they come. But I'm not going to go out searching for the next best thing, mate, because I think that's when you sort of get in a bit of a rut,
Yeah. So living your passions, living your dreams.
Absolutely.
And doing that. Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for inviting us in. We are at Body Blitz Gym. We'll try and link to your Facebook page if anyone wants any training facilities, any help with the online stuff. Then this is a man to go see. Paul, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.